She blinked, looking deep in those black eyes. There was a whole ocean down there. He was a handsome man. Vine was sure he tricked a lot of women to fall in his traps with his charms and wealth. Vine, you see, uh, you shouldn't be doing that around your daughter and especially to people who takes care of your daughter. Jungkook, do what? She blinked and gulped trying to free her wrist, but he didn't budge. Vine grabbed their wrists and threatened them. The tension in the air didn't lessen even when Ella laughed at something, completely focused on the Barbie. Jungkook, so killing would be better, like her precious caretaker. Vine hissed and had the audacity to pull her wrist out, pick up Ella and put it in her lap and cover her ears. Vine, you won't stop talking murder in front of her, huh? According to you, she's just a toddler. Jungkook was amused. Instead of getting scared, she had the balls to pick up at him. Ella got easy around Vine quite quickly. How she grabbed Vine's hand on her ear and held it while focusing on the movie was just adorable. Vine wrapped her arms around her tiny body and moved side to side, ignoring him completely, and he let them enjoy. The rest of the day he got busy with calls as a businessman, and he let Vine and Ella do whatever they wanted as long as she was doing her job right. It had continued for quite some months now that Vine was in search of a job anyways, and he paid her enough to stay. In the meantime, he noticed she was crazily annoying, but something about it amazed him too. She would randomly enter his room and say she only came to take something for Ella that she needed, and surprisingly, he never said anything. She would obviously hang around every time he took Ella out for parks, dinners, or beach. She once teased him and said, "It feels like a date." To which he told her he is a father of a daughter, but after he couldn't help and consider it a date as well. He started to love her company by now. It had been 7 months. They were much closer than they first met, when he held her on a gunpoint. Ryan, such a jerk. He snapped out of his thoughts. He glared at her standing in front of him, and her eyes widened up, a hand covering her mouth. Jungkook, what did you call me? He stood up and took a step towards her. She stepped back, and he cornered her against the wall, his hand on the wall beside her, and he leaned down. Ryan, I mean, I was calling you for quite some time. I thought you wouldn't hear this one either. Jungkook, too bad. I did. How do you plan on getting out of this? Why, are you going to kill me? She asked, too used to his threats now. He held her jaw in his grip. He was only going to scare her, but at that moment, something shifted. He couldn't pull away from her. All those soft eyes and lips always had a chokehold on him. He started trying not to kiss those inviting lips. Jungkook, be ready. we're going out to one of your dates. Wine grinned happily. Wine, so you finally agree, there are dates. I knew. You can't resist for too long. She winked at him and slipped from under his arm, running out of his room. After a while, they were in his car while he was driving, and Vine sat in passenger seat with Ella in her lap. The little girl could speak and understand a lot of things now. She would point at every passing car and scream, "Lights!" at top of her lungs, then clap. So adorable. Vine. At this point, she'll sleep before we get there. She woke up early too. Jungkook. Then we get an ice cream and return home. Suddenly, the car jerked. Jungkook instantly moved his arm forward to stop Ella and Vine from crashing into the dashboard. He slowed down the car and cursed at the car, which broke the lane and was speed driving. Vine saw Jungkook's security car following the driver now, and she knew another murder was happening tonight. She sighed. He will never change. She looked down at his hand still holding her arm and felt shivers all over her. He started to have stupid effects on her, like butterflies in her stomach every time he is around. Jungkook, are you okay? Ryan, I guess. He stopped the car immediately by the side and turned to her. Jungkook, you guess? Are you hurt? Ryan, I'm okay. He looked at Ella and she was half asleep in her lap, then back at Ryan. He held her hand and caressed it and she felt safe. Jungkook, let's get you ice cream? She nodded, and he got out of the car. He picked up Ella and put her in the back seat and buckled her up. She was fast asleep. He removed his coat and used it as a blanket over her and kissed her head before getting in his driver's seat again. It was a silent ride afterwards as he got her an ice cream and stopped at a silent spot, letting her eat in peace. Wine. It's cold, she suddenly said. Jungkook looked at the heater and it was on highest level. Then he looked at Wine and found sweat trickling down her forehead. Jungkook. Cold? You are sweating. She shivered, and Jungkook wondered if it was because they almost got in an accident. He unbuckled her belt and held her hand. Jungkook, come here. Wyan, come where? He suddenly picked her up and placed her in his lap so easily. Wyan, what are you doing? Jungkook, keeping you warm. He wrapped his arm around her and no lies. She felt much better yet, for the first time in a long time. She blushed. Jungkook looked deep in her eyes and loved the color on her cheeks. Jungkook, better? She nodded and looked down slowly, very slowly, leaned forward and snuggled in his arms. He didn't mind, instead, hugged her tightly, stroking her hair like a lover would. Ryan? He called her and she hummed. listening to his heartbeat. It was fast like hers. Jungkook, do you like Ella only till your job? Or would you be loyal in growing her up? Ryan, it was never a job. I told you. I'd do it for free too. Staying with her all these months is like she's my own daughter. I dearly love her. Jungkook. And me? She gulped and looked up in his eyes. Ryan, and you? Jungkook, you stayed with me all these months too. Would you like me like a family too? Ryan, would you still threaten to kill me every day? Jungkook, I'd replace the warnings with something else. Ryan, something like. She breathed heavily, feeling so closed and intimate in that moment. Jungkook, like, pin you against the wall and threaten to kiss you till you can't breathe, or bring you to bed and love you like you have never been loved before. She curled her fists against his shirt. Ryan, I don't believe you. He cupped her jaw and leaned forward. Jungkook, want me to prove it? She nodded and he kissed her. She kissed him back, closing eyes and getting lost in the taste and his touch around her neck and waist. When they pulled back, she was playful again. Ryan, did you just kiss me? I thought you were a father of a daughter. Jungkook, yeah? Would you like to be her mother? Her heart went in all directions and a pure smile appeared on her lips as she nodded, and Jungkook kissed her forehead, taking her in his arms again, and closed his eyes. This time, he was marrying after his choice. This time, he knew he was getting a loyal love for him and for his daughter.